Hello everyone, this is Anmol Maan, and today we will be mapping Toronto's crime data. In this tableau story, we will be looking at Toronto's crime data and try to uncover some facts about what happens in the city. This data has been taken from Toronto Police's public safety data portal, and for analyzing and making visualizations, this data has been cleaned and all the duplicate values have been removed. So let's take a look at the crime data in Toronto. So as you can see here, we have this map which has symbols that show us the crimes that have been reported in Toronto and the different neighborhoods they were reported in. In 2022, we have 36,500 crimes reported, and that comes up 100 crimes daily, which is around 4 crimes per hour. We can see that the most of the crimes that were reported were assaults, with 18,000 cases were just assaults, and this is the main contributor. It's almost half of the total annual crime count. And then we have auto theft and break and enter, which are much less than assault cases, but they are still a considerable amount as compared to robbery and theft over. Auto theft is around 9,000 cases reported, break and enter at 6,000, and robbery and theft over altogether they're around 3,500, 3,500. So let's take a look at the distribution of these crimes across the city. For assault, we can see that most of the assaults are consolidated near the downtown area, but we do see a lot of small sections that have bigger clusters as compared to the other areas. Now let's move to auto theft. For auto theft, it's pretty distributed. We can't really see a lot of clusters together, but we do see that this half of the total region has seen more auto thefts as compared to this half. And again, there is some sections in the downtown area that can be seen as a little more consolidated, but it's not a big difference. It appears that this section altogether is sort of distributed and has seen more auto thefts as compared to the right side. Let's check out break and enter. For break and enter, we see that most of the cases were reported near the downtown section, near the main Toronto area, and then we do have some cases reported in the other areas, but most of them are still in the I think it's the mostly popular area. Now let's check a robbery. There's very less cases for robbery, and it is again pretty much consolidated near this section of the map. And then let's look at theft over. And theft over is even less compared to the robberies. And the crime reports for theft over are pretty distributed as well. From this map and the histogram, we can see that assaults, auto thefts, and break and enter were the most reported crimes. So let's take a look at these crimes and how these crimes were increasing or decreasing over the last 3 years. As you can see, this line chart shows us the trend of these 3 crime categories over the last 3 years. It can be seen that assault has increased from 15.4 thousand to around 18,000. And this is around 18.7% increase from the year 2020 to 2022. And for auto thefts, we can see that it risen from 5,000 to 9,000. And that's an increase of around 4,000, which is pretty much double of what it was in the beginning in 2020. And that is a 70.8% increase from 2020 to 2022, which is way more than what we saw for the assault cases. And then we have our third top crime, which was break and enter. And surprisingly, break and enter has decreased over the time. From 2020 to 2021, it decreased from around 7,000 to 5,500, and then it slightly increased to 5,900. But overall, we can see that it decreased from 13.6%. It decreased by 13.6% from the year 2020. It could be due to COVID-19, when a lot of people were not leaving their houses, which is why there's a lot of less break and enter reports. But we do see that assault cases and auto theft cases have really increased over the last 3 years. So let's take a deeper look into these two crimes. Let's take a look at assault. For assault, we can see that in the year 2020, the annual reports for assault were around 18,000. And then every day someone was assaulted 50 times, or not 50 times, or 50 reports for assault. And then 2 assault cases every hour. And taking a look at the assaults per premises, we can see that apartments were the main area or the main location where people were assaulted. And then outside, and then commercial, house, and then some other locations which were not disclosed, and surprisingly transit and educational. We can see that the neighborhoods that were most affected by assaults were Moss Park, downtown Yonge East, Wellington Place, New York University Heights, West Humber, Clareville. With Moss Park, downtown Yonge East, Wellington Place being the sort of the most affected neighborhoods, which have around 400 crimes and more. And then for every day, we see that the average crime count for every day for Sunday to Saturday is pretty much the same. It ranges from around 7 to 7.5 crimes. However, on an hourly basis, if we take a closer look, we can see that the assault cases start from 6 a.m. and sort of max out around 3, and then die down, over the night. But we can definitely see that the most assault cases occur from 9 a.m. to midnight. All right, so let's take a look at auto theft now. For auto theft, we have 8,700 annual cases reported in 2022, around 9,000. Then we have a daily count of 24 cases per day, and then an hourly count of 1 case per hour for someone stealing someone's car or any other auto vehicle. Most of these thefts were reported in houses. There's a very small proportion in commercial and other undisclosed locations or apartments. And the areas which were most affected, the neighborhoods which were most affected with the assaults, who were West Humber, Clareville, and York University Heights. And on average, from Sunday to Saturday, the assault cases range from 2.3 to 4. Saturday and Sunday, it's relatively less cases as compared to Monday to Friday, with Thursday being the most and Friday and Wednesday almost close So the most amount of auto thefts were reported between Wednesday and Friday, and weekends being Saturday and Sunday being the days with the least amount of reports for auto thefts. And then looking at the hourly chart, we can clearly see that the auto thefts generally occurred in the morning hours from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. But the maximum number of auto thefts reported that is close to 3, which were from 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., around 9 a.m. So 6 to 9 was the most hot time for auto vehicle thefts, which is pretty consolidated in the morning hours. So now, after exploring the assault and auto theft cases, let's look at the key takeaways from this data story. The annual crime count for 2022 was around 36,000 cases per year. And the top crime categories were assault and auto theft, which were on the rise, and break and enter, which was surprisingly declining. And auto theft being the type of crime that increased the most over the 3 years, with a 70% increase from 2020 to 2022. There were around 18,000 cases for assaults reported in 2022 and around 9,000 cases for auto thefts. And the areas that were most affected with assault and auto theft were Mosque Park, downtown Young East, Wellington Place, York University Heights, and West Hamburg Clareville. So this brings us to the question, is Toronto safe? Well, it depends. The population of Toronto in 2022 was recorded at 3 million, and the crime count reported for 2022 was 36,000. This comes up to about 1.2%, which seems to be pretty safe, but it's still 36,000. So whether you find it safe or not depends on where you live, as we saw that some of the areas had more consolidated spots for crimes, and it also depends on the people living in the neighborhood. So whether it's safe or not, let's all be aware of our surroundings and stay safe. Thank you everyone for listening. This is Anmol Maan, and we were looking at mapping Toronto's crime data. Thank you.